the whole of Ikeja local government, the whole of Surulere local government, the whole of Etiosa local government, the whole of mainland local government, the whole of Apapa local government, and the whole of Lagos Island local government. A total ban on this and all of the highways effective from the 1st of June. This is the first banning that we're going to be embarking on, so that others know that within a short while, it's either they get out or they look for something else to do. And from 1st of June, there are LCDs that are underneath them. We're going to publish them. We're going to list all of them. And so we're given the notice now, right, where you can begin to do your recce, begin to do, your strategy. From the 1st of June, please, we want all of the Okada to be completely off this major road. Let people begin to make their own independent alternative. We have actually even provided those alternatives. We have bought last mile buses for them. Those are some of the things we said. They are effective, they are working. We have the medium capacity buses. We have the high capacity buses. And before the end of the year, we're also still bringing rail onto this corridor.
That's right. Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alabi, joins us this morning on the program to shed more light on that announcement made by the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Well, good to have you on the program, Commissioner. Let me officially welcome you to Lagos. Yes, you've been at work for quite some months, but this is the first time we're having you on Sunrise Daily. So, again, welcome to Lagos State. But let's get into this conversation. I know the talk around the banning of motorcycles and tricycles as well is always a controversial one. There are those who will say, yes, that's the way to go. Some say, well, think about the masses. But I wonder for you, the police, let's start off on this point. How are you taking this on board? It's meant to take place, or at least take effect on the 1st of June. But how is the police taking this new directive on board?
Yeah, good morning. We have been enforcing, the ban of Okada since 2020. I think that was the 1st of February 2020 when the ban was announced. But you see, over time, I think there was a kind of slack, on the part of the officers to enforce the law. So I think Okada ban is not a new issue to police officers in Lagos. All we need to do is just to enforce the law and ensure that all those prohibited routes are not, are protected from Okada riders from applying, so that the Russians will not have any issues with their movements.
It was February 2020 that the Lagos State government gave that order, banning or at least restricting motorcycles from 6 local government areas, I think 9 LCDAs and about 10 major highways here in Lagos. And again, we're seeing a rehash of that. The same 6 local government areas that Lagos State banned the movement of motorcycles. And the question again is, so what is different this time? If you say that officers dropped the ball at that time, 2 years after, what is going to be different with this one?
Well, I think what's going to be different is, the officers will go their own work to enforce the law. I mean, to do their statutory duty and ensure that the Okadas are not allowed to apply the routes that are prohibited. Like we already said, we have about 6 local governments. I remember vividly that those Okadas who were applying those routes were not allowed previously. But along the line, I think after the end of SARS saga, there was a kind of lackadaisical attitude on the part of police officers in Lagos, because they were not actually encouraged since they were at the center of that crisis. So that's the reason why a lot of them, got slacking and they did not enforce the laws the way they're supposed to enforce it. So what is going to, be different this time around is that they will go the whole log and ensure that all those areas that are prohibited from the Okada from flying, not allow them to fly them.
Okay, so talk to us about the implementation particularly now. How will this be done? Have your men started, rounding up the motorcycles as we speak? What is the approach to this? Is it you'll arrest the motorcycle rider and perhaps even the passenger, or just confiscate the motorcycle? How are you approaching this, and how are you phasing, the motorcycles out of those areas?
We've been doing that. I think for the past 3 days now, we have been operating along the Lekki axis. And I think we'll be able to recover, we'll be able to pound not less than about 215 motorcycles and arrested about 35, defaulters. All I know is that all those areas, we've been able to put the strategies in place, how we are going to enforce the law, and that's the reason why the governor has given them about 12 days notice that from 1st of June, we are going to go, the whole hog to ensure that nobody flouts that law and get away with it. And I think there's a plan towards establishing a kind of mobile court that will actually try them on time so that we don't keep on congesting ourselves with all these, people who are flouting the laws. Whenever you are arrested, whether the passenger or the rider, then they will be tried instantly without necessarily bringing them to any cell.
Well, there's a question Kade asked a little while ago, and I want to kind of give perhaps a bit of a background to that question, and maybe you want to take it again. I'm wondering if there was ever a time the ban on Okada was ever relaxed. In 2006, the Tinubu government restricted the operating hours of Okada riders to between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. every day. In 2012, the Fashola administration also came up with some directive to restrict them from certain major roads, highways, flyovers, and the rest of them. In 2017, the Akinwumi Ambode administration also announced a ban of activities on major highways and the rest of them. And of course, those things seem to continue to happen. Last year, you've talked about that one copiously, and this one. So again, was there ever a time the rules were relaxed? And what's going to be different this time to ensure that we don't go back to quoting this ban as another one of those ones that were not implemented?
Well, I agree with you that. I agree with you. There was never a time it was relaxed. But the intensity of the enforcement is what we're talking about here. Over time, people have been enforcing it, but they have not been enforcing it, in an holistic manner. They have been given rules for all these Okada riders to be flying the roads, even though they have been arrested. Some of them have been arrested. But what we are saying here is that, we are going to change our tactics, we're going to change our strategy, and we're going to go the whole hog and ensure that this law is enforced with letter, by not allowing anybody to apply the road. Whoever applies the road will be arrested and will be dealt with according to the law. Then I think there are other areas that are giving us serious concern, because we keep on saying we are buying the Okada, and some people are still buying these Okadas for people to empower, as kind of empowerment. So we have addressed that, and I think the government is taking care of that too, from that angle. That people are still buying these Okadas for people as a form of empowerment to, take a second look at it. So because I think, the first three remain that banning the Okada and still bringing Okadas into Lagos will continue to give police problems. But then there are so many dimensions that are taking place now where we are going to face it in a holistic manner. And that's the reason why I said the intensity of the enforcement is what we're going to look at this time around and ensure that we actually, enforce the law the way it's supposed to be enforced by not allowing them to apply those rules that are prohibited.
Well, speak to these two things quickly, Mr. Commissioner. One is the fact that, there are those who will be asking if the police has the capacity in terms of personnel to take this on fully as you are making a promise. And then there are those who wonder whether or not some of your men may not use this as some kind of cash cow for themselves.
No, I don't agree with that. The police has the capacity. And beyond that, it's not going to be the police force alone that will enforce it. There's going to be an inter-agency collaboration, inter-agency cooperation with other security agencies, including even the agencies established by the Lagos State government, starting with the responsibility of security of Lagos State. We are going to collaborate, we are going to cooperate with them, and we are going to work in synergy and ensure that this law is enforced with letter.
Commissioner, Besides the problem of capacity, I'd like you to also speak to the security concern posed by the Okada riders. Are you working with the association, and what intelligence are you getting about how perhaps they're connected to crimes that are committed in communities? And some of them, you know, they're unskilled, they're untrained in the art of riding the motorcycles themselves. So are you working with the associations to ensure that anyone, perhaps in areas where they're allowed, anyone who is riding an Okada, a motorcycle, knows how to ride the Okada so that it doesn't put the lives of passengers at risk?
Well, you see, we've been having a lot of consultation with their executive members in various communities. What we have been able to discover is that most of them are not even licensed. And before God and man, you know, I can assure you that I want to be emphatic here. Most of them are criminals, masquerading as Okada riders. We have arrested so many of them, you know, with locally made pistols in the course of their operation, and many of them have been sent to courts. We know that they are using Okada as a kind of disguise to perpetrate a lot of crime in so many communities, and that's the reason why we have been having a lot of dialogue, a lot of consultation and meetings with their union. And in the course of doing that, I believe that the best way out is actually to get them off our roads, because a lot of them are masquerading as Okada riders, whereas they are criminals.
All right. So speak to this now. The concern is that once this ban takes effect, crime will skyrocket because, as you said, if a lot of them are criminals in any case, all you're taking away from them is a motorcycle. Some of them might still, you know, turn to these vices. Even some who are innocent. By the way, not all of them, we should say, are criminals. There are people who are legitimately doing this, you know, just to fend for themselves. So what do you have in place to curb the possible spike in the crime rate in Lagos?
Yeah, we are anticipating that, and we are working on our strategies on how we are going to contend with that, you know, in a holistic manner too. We know that banning the Okada riders can actually, you know, increase crime rates, and we are not mindful of that, and we are already putting in place, like I said, a lot of strategies to contend with it. We know that this, you know, it will send a lot of them to unemployment, and we know that. So they will maintain to crime because of that. So we are aware of that and we are preparing for that.
For now, I don't know if you can hear me, sir. Okay, yes. I'd like to confirm if this is a blanket ban. Before now, there used to be restrictions that, you know, motorcycles that had 200 cc and above was what could operate. With this blanket ban, this total ban, does it affect couriers, those who are running this courier business with their motorcycles, and does it also affect private Okada owners?
It does not affect couriers, but the couriers will not carry passengers. I will ensure that they are actually couriers, because we are going to look at that and ensure that they are couriers and not people who are trying to pretend to be couriers and they're using it to operates against the law. Then the other officers who are Okada owners must be uniform personnel in uniform who are going to their various places of work. They are exempted from that law.
What about those who own power bikes?
Those who own power bikes are affected.
By this new law, if you own a power bike, you're not allowed to ride your power bike.
No, sorry. They are not affected because, I mean, it's not made for commercial purpose.
Okay. This is, I mean, quite interesting. Have you received any complaints from those before now commercial motorcycle owners? Have there been complaints and protests along this line? Do you anticipate any?
Well, I think I've not received any complaint, and I don't think I expect them to complain because they know that the law is law. And the critical stakeholders have taken into consideration the positive and negative effects of this issue of Okada riders on the Lagos streets or Lagos highways and protected areas. So I think it's not a new law. It's just because the law has not been enforced with letter. So they are aware they're not supposed to be applying these rules. I remember when I was a DPO in Ikeja here years back, about 11 or 12 years ago. I enforced it throughout the Ikeja division, area of Ikeja local government area, and we enforced the letter that, by not allowing Okada people to be plying, major highways and prohibited areas in the Ikeja local government. So it's not a new law. The issue is that Nigerians we are averse to. We are really we don't really like obeying laws, except we are forced to obey it. And I think this time around it's better for us to enforce it the way it's supposed to be enforced and let them know that, look, law is law and it has to be obeyed.
I'd like you to react to this. Many say that, and rightly so, by the way, that this ban, total ban, according to the state government, is not unconnected to the death of the sound engineer in Lekki who died as a result of a mob action. Confirm this and also tell us more about the investigations being carried out as to what really happened. Was it that, according to reports, the mob accused the rider of being a Yahoo boy, a ritualist, or was it a disagreement over 100 naira?
What I can say is that it is not only that reason. We have a lot of reasons, like I told you. Many of them are criminals masquerading as Okada riders, but that's one of the reasons because, they are so lawless. If there's any matter between any one of them and any innocent person or any passenger or any other pedestrian, or motorist, before you see that business, about 100 of them will just surround that person, try to lynch and even murder the person in the cold blood. It's unacceptable. Double justice is unacceptable. So they are so reckless in the way they do things. They take laws into their hands and they do this with impunity. So it's not only because of the fact that they had a problem with somebody that they killed in Lekki, but it's one of those reasons. And we are saying that enough should be enough for them.
But can you
the issue of the investigation into that murder case? Well, what I've been able to gather so far is that the passenger was not even the one that was killed. The passenger they had an argument about 200 naira change. And before you know it, the Okada rider started calling his colleagues when they had an altercation with the passenger. And then the passenger to call other people for them to defend themselves. And in the course of doing that, there was a scuffle. There was a kind of fight between the group of the Okada riders and some of the friends of the person that was murdered. And before you know it, they just killed that one. And but so far, 5 of them have been arrested, and we're still looking for the other ones.
When you say 5 of them,
okay.
When you say 5 of them have been arrested, who are those people who have been arrested? Are they motorcycle riders? Are they just, people in that area? Because this has spiraled into, bigger conversations around who might be responsible, who might not, is a group of these people. But it will be important to get clarity on that. So who are the people who have been arrested for this?
Some of them are motorcycle riders, and some are those who joined the motorcycle riders to commit the offense.
Okay, I saw it tweet.
Out of the 5 of them, out of 5 of them, 3 are motorcycle riders and 2 are not motorcycle riders.
Okay, I saw a tweet from the spokesperson of the command, Benjamin Hunday, who was saying that that the mastermind of the lynching is not even a motorcycle owner or rider, and he's a southerner, and he was trying to make a point that people shouldn't stereotype. I'd like you to perhaps clear the air on that as well. Plus, how is it that people gathered to, it's even hard to watch that video, but it happened outside. It wasn't in a secluded area, and there was no police intervention for the whole period that the man was lynched, was killed, and even burnt. How did that happen?
I don't agree with you. There was no police. What happens is that police cannot be everywhere. If not because of the police intervention, they will have killed more than one person. It was because of the police intervention that killing was reduced to only one person. Because when that happened, police were alerted and they responded swiftly. And that's the reason why they were able to arrest 3 people on the spot and later on arrest the other 2. But for anybody to insinuate that there was no police presence, well, we cannot be everywhere. We are not ubiquitous, but there was a police response. And that's the reason why the act was, the murderous act was not more than one person.
How quick will you say the police responded? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? What was the response time, if you know?
In that situation, I think the police responded within the range of 8 minutes. Maroko police station, they responded within the range of 8 minutes.
But that whole episode took more than 8 minutes.
Pardon?
I said the whole episode, the fight, the altercation, the lynching, and the eventual burning clearly took more than 8 minutes.
Before they started, before they started having problems, there was a kind of argument. It was when they started beating somebody with a lot of wounds and the rest of it and clubs that somebody had to call police. And then when police was called, they responded. And I'm telling you and I'm assuring you that because of the response, it will have been more than that. If not because of the police response, there will have been more casualties than what we had.
Well, it's certainly a very, very sad incident, but we wish you the very best in this investigation. By the way, is there any word on the state of affairs of the others who were involved? We hear that they're unconscious in the hospital.
Hello?
Yeah, I said, is there any word on the health status of the others who were involved? We hear that they're unconscious in the hospital.
No, they are not unconscious. They are in a stable condition. So the DPO visited them in the hospital and they're in a stable condition.
So they're recuperating. Well, we'd like to thank you so much for shedding light. I think it's important to get this information out there. We've been speaking with Mr. Abiodun Alabi, who is the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's my pleasure.